Hello and welcome to Insert Coin Theater. Just my camera here. Well, we have a lovely show planned. It's going to be a great show. Little bit of a different format this week because George is out. He's crying like a little girl on Facebook right now because he's mad because I'm doing the show without him. But I would like to introduce a special guest, Mr. Devioussfurball, who's going to be joining us.
Thank you.
And I'd just let you guys know, my name is Tim.
Oh, this is I'm Reki over here.
Jesus, Reki.
One of these days.
One of these days. So, Mr. Devioussfurball joins us from the UK, where he is a prolific voiceover artist.
Englandshire.
Indeed. So, thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Furball. It's a real pleasure to have you.
It's always a pleasure, Tim. And it's good to know that I am somehow some kind of cheap replacement for George.
Well, you know, I got to keep you in my back pocket, right?
Very true. I know George is going to actually
just
record and play back that line, that admission that I'm somehow a cheap replacement for him.
Just look at it this way. You're George 2.0, okay?
Okay.
You know you're no replacement. You're Furball. Furball always hangs out on the stream with me.
Is this one of those version things where in sort of like the real world, everything else, it gets better, but in games where we tend to spend most of our time, it gets worse. As versions go on, they put in more DLC, they put in more microtransactions, and everybody starts to hate it just that little bit more.
Furball is DLC.
Yeah. Oh God, I hate myself. How
Furball
can
is
you make
the
me
Insert
hate
Coin
myself,
Theater
Rick?
DLC.
My God.
Well, let's go ahead and do the little intro dealy. This is Insert Coin Theater. All right. Awesome. Such a good intro. That was by the excellent Ben Burns. Guy's a talented dude. So, Furball, do tell. What makes the man behind the voice?
What makes the man behind the voice? That is a very difficult question.
Well, of course, this is Insert Coin Theater. We ask the difficult questions. Shut up, Reki. You're ruining it.
I try.
It's not like he doesn't watch the show or anything.
This is true. It's not like I've not suffered abuse at the hands of Tim before either. So.
Indeed, and vice versa.
Oh, yeah, very true. Well, it could be 12 years military background, being abused for quite a large chunk of my life. It could be, as a result of that abuse, ridiculous amounts of smoking, which gives me this silky smooth voice.
Smooth like butter.
No. Don't smoke, kids. Just saying.
Don't smoke. It'll make you sound like this. Think you're the best advertisement ever.
There's so much that I'm not saying right now. The military is it's a life-changing experience, and I'll leave it at that. Imagination, do your magic. Yeah. Okay, a little bit about myself. I work in voice acting and voice work in general. This is... and games. I've recently been employed to work on an upcoming game that is currently in development called Starfighter Inc.
Looks really cool too.
Yeah, it's an interesting game. and it uses Newtonian physics in space, which is, as you can imagine, a rather difficult and tactical things become when you use just normal. When you switch to regular flight physics, which is what everything and everyone does in space, woof. But
Sorry, my dogs are going nuts today. They're losing their minds.
yeah, when you do Newtonian physics in space, yes, everything becomes incredibly difficult, or, well, actually kind of easy. So, for example, the regular dogfights that you'd imagine in flying games and space sims turn into either A, who can turn the fastest, or B, the weird kind of fly towards one another head on as fast as you possibly can while shooting the weapons and who dies first. And rinse and repeat
Right.
until someone dies. So yeah,
Yeah, that's about right.
because it is Newtonian physics, it does put a very different aspect into how you play the game.
Hmm.
Anything else about me? Is there anything else you'd like to know?
Well, you've done audiobooks, correct?
Yes, and I currently narrate for mashstories.com, which is a writing competition for budding young writers. Uh, they give you 3 keywords generally for inspiration. You have to work these keywords into your story, and I narrate the ones that are shortlisted. And if
Very
they
nice.
win, then that's great. I've had lots and lots of feedback from the authors, and they absolutely love having their work put into audio.
Well, that's pretty freaking fantastic. And I've actually had the aside from having the privilege of getting to game with you frequently,
You smooch
I have
over you.
listened to some of your work. You did a rendition of you were in one of the audio dramas for X-Men. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. X-Men audio drama. It's on season 2. It's even planned. It's becoming more and more popular all the time. The strange thing.
Which character do you do?
In season 1, I was Hank McCoy, Beast, and a couple of other, like little walk-on parts. In season 2, I play both Hank McCoy and Colossus.
Ooh, Colossus. He's a big
He's a
dude.
very big guy.
And hello to Pornox, who just popped in and is joining us for the show, and Amusing Souls as well. It's good to see you guys. Thanks for coming to hang out. We have with us Mr. Deviousfurball,
The guy you're talking to
buddy of mine.
sounds like Gopher from YouTube.
I don't know who that is. Is that?
I don't know who that is either.
Let's assume that's a compliment, because I'm not sure myself. So, but yeah, we'll say it's a compliment. Congratulations, you sound like Gopher from YouTube.
I don't want to. I don't want to Google Gopher because that's just going to be a nightmare.
You'll be at it for a while. So Furball, what kind of games do you like to play?
Oh my word!
Tell us. Let's delve into the gamer recently.
Thank you for limiting that down just a little. Because
Oh, I wanted him to think about it for the next hour. Yeah,
my gaming tastes are eclectic. The most recent ones are things like Killing Floor 2, Tabletop Simulator, Just Cause 3, Insurgency, Fallout 4, Dirty Bomb, Dragon Ball Xenoverse, Elite Dangerous, Dying Light, Face Rig,
Recently.
Warhammer End Times. Yeah.
this is
There's
all
no
recently,
Grand Theft
actually.
Auto 5, Metal Gear Solid: The Phantom Pain, Euro Truck Simulator 2, Left 4 Dead, Contagion. Yeah.
Shall we go on?
I love gaming. Genuinely, absolutely adore gaming. Some people read books to unwind. Some people watch movies, and are movie buffs or watch TV shows. I play games. That really is just my outlet in the world. That's how wind down and things, and being told a wonderful story, or even becoming, and deciding how that story plays out, is just such a great thing for me.
Oh yeah, I agree. I find gaming is a great escape,
It very much so.
and
It is my escapism. Yeah.
I just yeah, and I just I don't know. I enjoy, like you said. I mean, you get to kind of choose your own story. It's like those old choose your own adventure books. In some ways, I mean, some games are more linear than others, but a lot of games do give you a lot of choice and freedom, which is a powerful thing, really. And it's pretty delicious when it comes to entertainment. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, some developers do make fun of the illusion of choice. The beautiful story of Would You Kindly from the BioShock series.
Yes.
That is the illusion of choice, and they deliberately put that in the game, but it's also one of my own greatest gaming moments, because the mind blow when it all came together and the Would You Kindly actually...
Yep. A man chooses, a slave obeys.
Yeah, it's just, wow. That was a mind-blowing moment for me.
It is for sure. So DJ Robin just popped in and says, "What up? What up?
Hey, dude.
How's it going? It's good to see you, man."
And Pornox.
Tomas DK also says, "Hayden, I have no idea. I have a feeling that's probably another language, but I could be wrong because the DK, I'm assuming, is Dutch. But either way, thanks for joining us."
Pornox says, "Dude, I swear Deviousfurball is a clone of Gopher. How do you know I'm not Gopher?"
You have to determine who's older there before you go calling people clones, man.
Who's the clone of who? So Pornox, I will have to find this Gopher, or you can message me a link or something later, and we'll take a look at it after the show.
Pornox, let's just say you never see us both in the same room at the same time, and we'll leave it at that.
So Furball. So one of the things that always makes me smile about you is how strongly you feel about certain things.
I am a gamer, and I'm allowed my irrational rages from time to time. Yes.
Tim's favorite game is finding Devious's triggers or berserk buttons.
It's fun. So one of his things is definitely when we talk about is the Final Fantasy series is one of them, isn't it, Furball?
Well, not really the Final Fantasy
it's not
series,
so much though,
but specifically the corridor running game.
So Final Fantasy
Yes.
13.
I think it was a great game.
So why does Final Fantasy 13 bother you in such a way? I mean, a lot of people thought it was a good game.
If you can look past it, if you can look past all the crap, terrible, just mind-blowing, idiotic game decisions.
Interesting story.
Exactly. Yeah, Reki, that's fine. I will definitely give you that. The story is interesting. The characters, there's not one I like. But there are
I thought Snow was your favorite.
ones I love to hate.
I thought you loved Snow.
Yeah, for example, Hope, flip-flops, the direction
it was Hope.
of...
That's right, it was Hope.
I was sat there, I actually dropped the control pad, and what the hell are they doing with these characters? Because Hope, for one, flip-flops between sort of like, oh, I'm scared, frightened young boy who's, just suffered a terrible, loss of a family member, and so on and so forth. And all of a sudden he flip-flops to almost in the same dialogue. He flip-flops from, suddenly forgetting about this huge emotional loss to talking. Well, they do this weird talking about someone but not talking about them kind of dialogue, where Hope and others, use this him, them kind of thing. Sort of like, so you don't like lightning anymore because you think they're responsible for killing your mom. That kind of directness isn't there. It's sort of like, I'm not sure what I'm going to do when I see him or her.
Ah, that unfortunately is an artifact of the actual Japanese language, and it
I know, no,
sounds much
I
more
completely agree.
natural in Japanese than it does in English. I will
I'm
give you that it
sure it
does
does.
sound
I'm sure it does.
weird in English.
So before we move on, so Pornox said that Furball's voice is beautiful.
That's incredibly kind
Well,
of you. Thank you.
he is a very talented voice actor, so it does work well for him. Robin says, "I wanted Hope to die throughout the entire
Amen,
game.
DJ Robert.
I hated
That's
Hope."
very nice.
And Pornox said, "Is Reki hiding in the corner?" No, she's in the other room, joining us over TeamSpeak
Someone didn't
because
want to
she
set up
didn't
the
really want to.
tables.
I'm lazy, okay? I'm lazy. Cut me some slack, guys. All right, it's been a long week already, and it's only Monday.
How about no?
anyways.
How about we give you flag for it?
Well, that's what you do best.
you.
So
Yes.
get right to it.
I have a talent.
So
Yes.
we have been playing a lot of games together. But yeah, you love Final Fantasy 13. We'll come back to my train of thought. I don't want to derail you. I don't want to get off the Furball hate train because I got to wake you up, right? I got to keep you
You
going.
gotta keep
So
the rage points
back.
building. Yeah.
All right. So let me just throw them at you. So Apple.
Oh fuck, Apple! Jesus. Okay. No. If you were to, put my dislike for Apple under a magnifying glass, it's actually quite rational. It is just down to the business tactics that they're themselves as a business. They're very litigious.
That they are.
They threaten anyone and everyone with legal action. Even one of my favorite phone makers, possibly for a small time, the only makers of good phones, HTC, they tried to take HTC to court because they thought their phone design was like the Apple iPhone.
Right.
And I don't know the ins and outs of the entire thing, but they pretty much, the reason why HTC, it's all been in the tech news that HTC are close to bankruptcy and so on and so forth. They're in lots of trouble. Well, that's because Apple were constantly taking them to court.
Yep.
They don't have, in the UK and America, you're protected about basically being dragged through the court so many times you get ruined. Trash cases.
I do think that they also sued Samsung over some kind of a patent, but I believe Samsung got the last laugh because they paid like $1 million of it in pennies or something like
in
that.
America are a whole can of worms that are awful.
Oh, IP law in the U.S. is so screwed up and
Awful.
so backwards from the way it should be.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so yeah, patents and copyright and all that is just such a mess over here in the U.S.
So my
and-
dislike for Apple, it can be whittled down to things like, just dislike of what the company has done, what they stand for, and some fallacies as well. Things like, it's the better for movie editing and things like that and rendering. And no, they never have been. Even when they switched from, bespoke Apple components to PC components, that still wasn't true. But yeah, it's a favorite quote trotted out by the fanboys. I will give them their due. They're incredibly easy to use, very simplistic.
Thomas K makes a really interesting point in chat.
Oh yeah, he says also the modus operandi they have every time they introduce a new feature, they hype and scream so loud that the crowds think that Apple are the first on the scene with that feature.
Amen, Thomas.
Unless you're in the tech scene and you know what, like you're really in the know, then they definitely can make you believe that. Like,
You and
they're
I
the
sure
first
would
to
get
do
along
things.
very well.
Great
But
point.
one on that point as well. I have both an iPod Classic and an iPod Touch, right? The only reason
My iPod Classic got
the only
stolen.
reason I have those is because they are really the only real MP3 player on the market.
Yeah.
Certainly with any reasonable size that doesn't cost you stupid amounts of money. But anyway, did I just say doesn't cost you stupid amounts of money when I was talking about an Apple product? I did not.
Yeah, it always costs stupid amounts of money.
That's crazy.
You
Yeah,
wash your mouth out with
exactly.
soap right now.
That's why I don't like Apple, because Tim won't let me curse on the show because we have to put it on iTunes.
Yep. That's the podcast is the only PG-13 thing that
I
Insert
have
Coin
a
Theater
curse
does
jar.
right
It's
now.
half full now.
Nice.
Every time she curses on the show, she has to put $1 into the
Well
jar.
done, Reki. But yeah, what Apple did was I used to be able to connect that, that huge 30-pin adapter that you have for charging the older devices.
That thing was awesome.
That used to be able to output video. And I used to use that for the head unit in my car. I could connect my iPod to it and have video playing in my car. And I made music videos and everything, you name it. The thing is they removed that feature. Why? Because they brought out a dongle. A $150 dongle to output video. Thing is this $150 dongle actually removed the function that I use it for, which is outputting through the 30-pin. It converted to standard AV leads. I wanted it to go through the 30-pin adapter. So I had to jailbreak both iPhones, both iPods, in order to get the functionality back, because they removed it because they were selling a crappy adapter.
Yeah, that just figures though. That one of Apple's big profits is their cords, just like with Monster Cable. So when they released the newest adapter, which is the smaller adapter that they had, they sold a ton of them because they hold patents on all of their connectors because they're proprietary. So they make a huge amount in licensing for peripherals and third-party pieces. So every time they change their connector, they don't need to, they just do it because they can.
Yeah.
So DJ Robin says he disagrees slightly. Apple computers are good with film editing, mostly because those sorts of programs make PCs crash for the dumbest reasons. I'm in no way an Apple fanboy. I just give them credit for that. And I tend
like
to
Fair
agree
enough,
with
shout.
Robin a little bit. But let me say, the reason, and sorry to cut you off, Reki, but the reason that they don't crash as often is because they have a very set range of hardware that they offer with the Macs.
A walled garden.
So
Yes.
yeah. So their stuff is much more focused around very specific hardware sets and is much less likely to crash in that event because they can test it more thoroughly on fewer
Yeah, I think that
configurations.
stability is a good point, because PCs are the least stable things in the universe next to radiation atoms or whatever.
And Tomas brings up a great point. He says it hasn't happened on his machine since he got Windows 7. It might happen on some PCs because the hardware is so different across the world, and that's exactly it. I think it's just because they can focus more on a more limited hardware set. And personally, I think that Robin is correct in that regard. And also, Final Cut Pro is an amazing tool. I mean, I tried to use Premiere side by side with Final Cut. There's no competition. I think Final Cut is probably the easiest thing. If you get Final Cut in motion, you are set. So I could be wrong. There might be easier tools out there, but between those two, my easiest
All
one was
artists
Final
have a-
Cut. It was
have a
so much easier to
preference in
use.
tools, though.
Yeah, true. There's always a preferred tool set.
You can't say that on the show, DJ Robin, but Sure.
We'll just say that DJ Robin says Final Cut excites him a lot.
I'm pretty sure you can say that on a PG-13 show.
I think you can. Yeah, I think you can. I think you can say that. He says Final Cut Pro gives me wood.
We used to have a saying in the Navy, you've got a bit of blood in it.
I don't think anything you say in the Navy is going to be PG-13. And I can't repeat anything that happened in my childhood.
Okay. Yeah, no, I will definitely
Lovely.
give you that,
Lovely.
Reki. So, yes.
All right.
The reason...
Well, why don't we move on to another topic before you cool off? Let's talk microtransactions.
Oh,
I'm hitting all the high points for Furball today. I never said this was going to be an easy show for you, Furball. I hope you don't die of a heart attack because your blood pressure gets high.
If you hear any noises, that's me putting my face in my hands. It really... Okay, microtransactions. I didn't realize this show was going to be bring Devious on and poke the bear. Poke the bear until it snaps.
See, the problem that you run into is you told me you were tired. And when we do this show, if you're feeling tired,
You get picked
we rag on each other a lot. So it gets your blood pumping and it wakes you up. So I'm waking you up,
is this
man.
what it is?
I'm doing you a favor.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing you. You got to be ready for the game when we do Fact or Fiction later. So
Okay. Poking
you got to be set
Poking
for
the
it.
bear with microtransactions. Let's discuss microtransactions, shall we?
Don't you love saying the things that should have been in the game in the first place?
Dear God, you...
Nice one, Reki. Nice one.
Seriously.
This is the greatest show.
It's such a villainous tactic. Okay, microtransactions aren't a bad thing. Now, I know you're going, what? How is Devious saying that microtransactions aren't a bad thing? They are the worst thing since, I don't know, sexually transmitted diseases. Seriously, they are horrific.
That was a pretty bad invention, not gonna lie.
They are horrific. Genuinely. The thing about them is inherently they're not a bad thing. You know, going on and saying, that skin looks really nice. Can I pay you like $1 or $2, and have this just basically, it's the same thing. They've not done anything to it. They've just changed the colors. You can do that in MS Paint if you wanted, for crying out loud.
No, that skin is $5.
Yeah, it's $5.
Thanks, Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, exactly. And things like that. And the thing is sort of like these things are then paywalled, and then these things are put behind grind walls as well. It's not the object. The thing itself is not a bad thing. How it's used is disgusting. So it's.
I mean, because it could be used for
yeah,
good.
Of course it could.
I mean, like you said, those $1 skins,
Or
that sort of thing would be
packs
fabulous.
Later, what's it called? Like the Citadel DLC for Mass Effect 3 that had a bunch of bonus stuff in it was really good.
Or I really like in Counter-Strike Global Offensive the keys and cases. It's completely optional to open a case, and you get them as random drops. You can just sell the case, but it's a nice little feature to have in case you want to deck out your weapons with unique skins.
Yeah, I have.
And I mean, there's a lot of skins, and it's like $2.50 for a key. Then you get a skin, or you can just go on the market and get one for like 5 cents. So, it comes down to it really makes it a more personal buying experience rather than just like you're spending a crap load of money on something completely superfluous.
And then you come to things like paywalling, hiding on what is effectively on disc DLC. Payday 2 did this. Yes.
Ugh. No, bad. No.
Even when the game first came out,
overkill. Why you do this?
With on disc DLC. Download it from Steam. Oh, what's this DLC? I'll unlock it. Wait, nothing's happened. Nothing's downloaded.
Nothing downloaded.
There's something gone wrong, is it? And it turns out it's already a part of their game. That is truly villainous tactics. Making a game so grindy that you almost have no option whatsoever. If you're a working gentleman like yourself, it becomes very difficult to put in the same kind of time and effort, into a game, to get to max level and get to that end game content. If they make, I hate this tactic with developers. They seem to think, and falsely so, they seem to think that increasing the XP amount, so like changing level 1 to 10 from 1 to 10 experience to 10 million experience, they think that's adding content and longevity to a game. No, it's not. It's grind.
Yes.
Now,
Robin brings up a pretty good point. He said DC Universe has a good microtransaction model. A lot of MMOs that have been coming out recently do. Let me give you an example that I play a lot, Guild Wars 2. Most of the things that you can buy for that are purely cosmetic.
No problem with that whatsoever.
Yep. And they don't make that much difference in terms of like gameplay, but there's something that you can do for yourself. And I gladly pay into that kind of model because a lot of what an MMO is to me is kind of like aesthetics and how your character looks and that sort of thing, over almost as much to the point as what your character does in the game.
And Thomas says, many people like the opening of the case itself. It's the small kick they get, like opening a present. Like my son getting a knife worth €80. I can bet he was thrilled.
Yeah, the knives in Counter-Strike, I don't think there's one that's worth less than like $90.
Wow.
Out there. Yeah, they because they're so rare. And I mean that's part of what Steam does so well, what Valve does so well, is they know how to grow a healthy community ecosystem in terms of microtransactions as well as an in-game, ecosystem. Yep. So they do a really good job with that sort of thing. And some game companies do an amazing job at it, but some games, like I said, sorry, I got distracted by Mord Brandonill's joke. He said, "Why was Mace's last name Windu?" Well, he didn't die from getting thrown out of a door. Sorry, I got distracted by that. It was really funny. Yeah, it took me a minute to think. I'm like, what?
Especially when you're saying this to a complete Star Wars fanboy. Who also loves bad jokes.
It just took me a second. So. Yes, very much so. Tomas says, IMO do microtransaction to your heart's content if you are a dev. The problems occur if it changes the gameplay
itself. Which
it
always does.
It almost always does, yeah. It's very rare that it doesn't. Now, I see there's a difference between microtransaction, DLC, and expansion. Okay, so what you've got with microtransactions is like in Rainbow Six Siege, where you have all these skins, completely superfluous, that you can buy with real-world money, right? Then there are some games, a lot of Korean MMOs are guilty of this sin, where they decide to charge you for strength boosters and things like that.
Bag space and then have you pay for
like
6 more bag space. It's like,
Yes. Or you get one character slot and then you have to spend $15 for one more, things like that.
While we are in kind of the general area of the land of the rising sun, why don't we talk about Nintendo, Konami, and Amiibos?
Oh, you cut me off, Furball. I was going there. We were slowly making our way from Korea to Japan. So another hot button topic for poor Furball. Mm-hmm. He absolutely adores Konami, and he adores, and you know what? I'm gonna have to say, F you, Konami.
Oh yeah.
The way they did Hideo Kojima, not
Not
okay.
cool.
Not
Not
cool.
at all.
They actually legally barred him from showing up at the VGAs.
Yes.
And I am none too pleased about that
And they said,
at all.
no, he's
so,
on holiday. He's not, there's no...
I'm on that. I'm on the hate train with you.
He's on holiday. He's not, he's not, leaving the company. He's not this, that, and the other. He's just on holiday. But yet legally barred from collecting his award at the game ceremonies.
Yeah.
No. How about you lied?
Of course not. They got to sugarcoat it. You see, that's just what drives me the craziest is they're stopping everything to make pachinko machines.
Pachinko is big money.
Insert curse words here.
Yeah.
I know, but you don't bar a guy from making it who made the frickin' can't even words.
That's exactly.
Screw you, Konami!
Yeah, exactly.
Ah!
Exactly.
Sorry.
Furball's rage button. He ended up pressing his own.
See, how could you not get wound up about these things? Genuinely,
It's so frustrating.
At what point do you turn around and like to a child, give it a smacked ass and say, "You don't deserve that nice thing you have. I'm taking it off you."
Right. Oh, you earned a medal by getting, by being the best football player in the whole league? Well, my medal now.
I
It's
think
ridiculous.
It's kind of crazy that they thought that they could get away with lying in this day and age. Like,
Oh yeah.
with the internet and
the
information dissemination, you can't lie.
Somebody asked the guy who arranged, from what I read, somebody asked the guy who was arranging the VGAs about it, and he said they barred him. They actually came up to the guy and said that Hideo Kojima was barred from showing up.
Wow.
So, and that was straight from the horse's mouth. So it was crazy. Everybody was there was a hashtag FUC Konami going around for a little while, which was awesome. That should be trending always from now on.
Well, but believe it or not, that was started on the Jim Sterling show. Yes.
Really? I tend to hate Jim Sterling, so
yeah.
good for him.
He's I'm not really a fan of this saying, but it does work very well. He's a very Marmite kind of individual, and he actually even has a segment of his show when Konami do something. Konami. I mean, there is only Konami that messes up quite as much as Konami does, and still claims that they are a caring game developer that wants, the fans to... Now, they want money. They sit in their ivory tower and they ignore everything that gets said and things like that. Example, DJ Robbins says, "Rip PT." One of the most innovative things to have come out, especially in the drowning pool of the complete cesspit that is these horror games that are out now. Survival horror games. Honestly, you just can't move for survival horror games right now.
Yeah. Yeah, Silent Hills was going to be amazing.
It was ingenious, and it used that mechanic that's not been used for so long, and it's just sort of where is the individual looking? And so many of the mechanics relied on your actual visual interaction. It forced the user's perspective. And even just a tiny little flash of a glowing eye or something at some point was really shocking, and it built the tension incredibly well. And
it's horrifying. I hate horror games.
So startled. He watched someone else play the PT trailer and was terrified.
I get so scared.
Mm.
I get so scared. You don't even know. I did a stream on Halloween of horror games, and just the whole time I was just whining and whimpering the whole time. It was awful. Shut up.
Marvelous.
It was terrible. It was a horrible experience. And I'm sure I'm going to have to repeat it one of these days.
I think I just realized the magic mix.
What's that?
The reason why your marriage works so well is because, Reki's a sadist and she likes putting you through. She likes watching you suffer, Tim.
Yep.
So did everyone watching the stream at the time. So it was magic. It was something magical,
I blame
that's
Tim
for sure.
being entertaining.
So Tomas says, sometimes, actually many times, you have to wonder how cut off some company execs are from the users. Seems that they have no idea what actually happens during and after the launch of the product. They are already 2 or 3 years out into the next
Amen,
product.
That's
Thomas.
interesting.
I've always said
Yep.
Ubisoft, for a very, very long time, have ceased to become a game developer and have become a business, a corporation, very much like EA.
Yep. Just like
Yeah.
EA, yeah.
Because there was, and this is one of my favourite things to trot out. Ubi's CEO stated that I think it was 92 to 95% of all PC users are pirates.
Okay.
What?
Seriously, they're actually quoted saying that the world at large
Steam has to
erupted
say about
and
that.
yeah, the world at large erupted and said, "Wait, what, you're calling us thieves and so on and so forth, and this is why you have." This was on the DRM conversation.
That's my concern.
I remember that whole
Yeah.
thing.
Ubisoft's DRM. Yeah. So this was all on that whole DRM thing, and they said 95 to 98% on, 92 to 95%, something like that, of all PC users are pirates. And they have never, ever justified this saying. They have never, ever given, actual example of, or citation for where they pull, these figures out of the ass dimension.
Out of there, I can't curse on this show.
So Robin says, so true. What demo in the history of gaming have you ever seen inspired people to create a new IP to create a similar gaming experience? I've been playing Layers of Fear, and it's like playing PT's Ghost. Not quite the same thing, but a beautiful spiritual successor. And I think that's one of those things that with seeing Silent Hill, seeing Metal Gear kind of go away, we're gonna see a lot of those kind of spiritual successor kind of things come out, which I think is going to be the only positive thing to come out of Konami being
Opening up the room
a-holes.
for others to step in.
Yeah, it's gonna leave a vacuum, and that vacuum often gets filled by at least one, usually 2 or 3 successors that do a great job of it. So I'm excited to see what the future holds. I'm just sad to see how they did poor Hideo Kojima, because it just wasn't right. Truly
I mean,
isn't.
even
But
was it Nintendo? I think it was. I seem to remember Kojima retweeting some fan art, which instantly got the ban hammer from Nintendo and was issued a takedown notice.
no, that was Konami again. He retweeted some art of Metal Gear, and then Konami actually went on to his Twitter, found the art, found the creator, and then sent him a C&D.
For fan art?
For fan art. Yeah.
For fan art, yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
You get to a point where you start to think they actually have some kind of hate campaign going on now. It's gone beyond just simple legal stuff, because that is that's fan art.
Yeah.
Admittedly, that's some kind of legally grey area anyway, as any kind of, hell, you could even call cosplay legally questionable.
Right.
But yeah,
Most sane people see that as free advertising.
exactly. In fact, the rest of the corporate world sees that as free advertising. These high-powered, high-performance motorbikes that genuinely look like a advert on 2 wheels.
Yeah.
Repsol and all kinds of stickers all over it. Cars have the same thing. I had a motorbike once that had that kind of stickering on, and I felt like writing to the company and charging them for advertising space.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't want the crap on my bike.
Right. Yeah, it's I don't know. I think it's I think that they're at a point where, because they're moving out of the video game scene, that they're just saying, you know what, we're gonna burn the biggest hole that we can and just leave in a flash of glory, even though it's negative glory. I just think they don't care anymore. I think they've given up, and they don't give a crap about their fans anymore, and it's
obviously
disappointing
don't.
because Yeah, well, they certainly don't, but it's just amazing to me because even, I mean, that company is still gonna exist. I mean, you'd think that, I mean, Reki, you have a better perspective of Japanese culture than me. I mean, would the Japanese take offense to that? Like, is that a cardinal sin, or do they not
I
care?
mean, I think that's. I don't see any cultural reason from my own studies to make that kind of thing okay.
Yeah, so they're probably just as PO'd as us. Tomas says, many times it's also funny to see how horrendous the executives misread the users. Time and time again, it comes as a surprise what actually becomes popular. For example, Minecraft and the massive success of the MOBA. And I mean, you're absolutely correct. I mean, you have Ubisoft that was like, let's release a yearly Assassin's Creed because that's what the people want. And now everybody's
Please
just like,
stop.
no,
No,
cut it
no
out,
more,
please.
slow down.
Don't do this anymore. You're hurting us.
That this is kind of a side step to that same thing, but if you look at like old magazines like Popular Science and stuff, and how they predicted the future and all that stuff, it's like you can predict like where technology is going to go, but you can't predict the social aspects, like people.
Right.
So when people latch on,
you can't predict
when
fads.
people latch onto something, it's like that's the unpredictable part, and why no one can like determine the future. And I think it's the kind of same thing.
Like the Pokemon craze back in the late '90s. That nobody saw that coming. That was massive. And I mean, you just look at a lot of there's so many that have come and gone in the past probably like 30 years. Like certain things like Star Wars, I guess you can bank on. I mean, look at Disney, but
Yes, look at Disney.
Please don't.
God, no. I feel the rage boiling. No, I don't want to look at him anymore. Disney, why? Disney, why? So they're getting worse and worse as time goes on, and it's just going to keep getting worse. It's amazing. Coming from a costuming perspective, they've gotten almost militaristic in the way that they handle.
They've gotten a little big for their britches.
Their costuming group. So tell me something. What would you expect? Who would you expect would run a fan group?
It's a trick question.
Like a fan club.
Dave from down the street, or
Yeah, you expect a fan, right? Somebody who absolutely loves it, right?
Hey, Deadly Presents.
Hey, Deadly Presents.
Hey, Deadly Presents, good to see you. Well, so coming from the costuming club I'm in, I don't want to go into it because I don't want to cause any strife or come under the gun until I officially retire my costume from said club. But they keep receiving directives from Disney. One of them was in light of the recent tragedy in Paris, the issue that we had over in San Bernardino here, that sort of stuff. They asked that all of our troopers, people in full costume, full stormtrooper armor, obviously costumers, put away their fake laser guns because people might mistake them for real guns. And
That's the
this
punchline.
No,
club-
that wasn't. That silence wasn't. Me just listening to Tim. That silence was
Stunned silence of disbelief and disapproval.
what? Why?
Words
So
I can't say on stream.
the fan club, being the good little boys and girls they are, run by, you would think, fans, decided to... Oh, they did it to everyone, Robin. They did it to everyone. But decided to say, yeah, we're gonna enforce that. As if it's not, the individual costumer's costume to make that choice.
Enforce it?
Or the...
What?
Yeah.
They don't allow you to
Yeah.
participate in the sanctioned events if you are breaking the rules.
So you
Yes.
get blacklisted.
So if...
Basically,
Yeah, that's correct. So if you violate the
Hilarious.
rules, you get blacklisted and you can no longer attend those events. Now you're beginning to see why I am working on getting my costume to retirement.
Hanging up the Stormtrooper
So-
helmet.
something that
Indeed.
started as
So,
kind of a fun way to bring charity money in for different things.
Yeah, and to make kids smile and to have
Become a
fun.
Drama llama pile.
Well, it's become a Disney run tool for
Yes.
advertising. It's no longer a fan
No.
club. It's an officially run by Disney thing.
Mm.
So, pardon me for getting off topic from video games, but this is just indicative of how Disney to me is pulling a Konami, and that's why I have like no faith in Disney anymore. Like I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt for episode 7, which I'm going to go see, don't get me wrong. I am a Star Wars fan through and through, so I have to give it a fair shake. But after seeing what they did as soon as they got the IP, within like a week of buying Star Wars, they were like, Episode 7's on its way out. Also, look, new comics. Oh, we're wiping the EU. Look, new books. Look, new games. Blah, blah, blah. And just after seeing what they let EA do to Battlefront, I am just horrified. I'm just horrified. I can't believe they let EA release that as a full game, as a $60 purchase. Because it's half a game. That's all it is. It's half a game. That's all Star Wars Battlefront is. And you can't prove me otherwise, for
No, 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 no.
God,
You pass out.
okay.
Oh, I actually agree with you. At what point does an online only, multiplayer only game become worth that price tag? Because I, okay, throughout the years, PC has had its fair share of very popular online multiplayer only games. So, for example, Quake, probably being the biggest example. But other things like EVE Online. EVE Online's another one. Yeah, all these games that are specifically multiplayer only, and a few of the more villainous examples. Evolve. Evolve were guilty of ridiculous DLC, bringing out a horrifically bad stunted game. They were the first people in the world to make a season pass actually mean a season. For 4 months.
Yeah. Yep.
But still charge you pretty much a full game price for this season pass, because there's
$30 to $40.
You think you're basically buying 2 games nowadays. You buy the season pass,
Right.
which is almost as, if not in some cases, as expensive as the game itself, because what you're getting, or what you, as the consumer, hope you're going to get, is basically another full game's worth of content. They're going to bring out big DLC packs and things like. No, what they do is bring out three packs of skins and a small little one mission campaign or something like that. That is not worth your huge amount of money that you plow into a game.
Yeah. And The Witcher 3 comes to mind when you mention big DLC, like expansion pack style DLC type things.
I don't like the idea of paying $15 to $30 for something that's going to take me an hour to finish. That's not really worth it to me.
Right.
Just as a side note, Thomas
Yeah,
Piketty, brought up a really good point that points to the U.S.'s current law and law system as being problematic when it comes to companies.
And Tomas brings up a good point, because he says that they're covering their rumps, and I get that, but this club is not Disney's club. That's the bottom line, and that's where the problem comes in.
The law environment that the U.S. has, the company's always right. Like the company, the more you can pour money into your lawyers, those are the ones that everyone's going to side with.
Right. So Disney's not at any liability then. So why do they take it upon themselves to enforce any kind of law or,
I think it goes back.
Enforced rule on a fan club of all things? I mean, that would be like, me going to all the followers that we have and me telling them that they have to do things.
Well,
it's stupid. It makes no sense. I've got no right.
Said earlier about copyright and all that horribleness up there. Like the companies believe they own you. If
they believe that, then you know what the club needs to do? The club needs to stone up and say, we'll take it under advisement, It's our club. This is how we're
And then
going to
Disney
handle it.
says, "Well, you're not allowed
And
to do that
that's
anymore. Lawyers
and
go."
that is exactly where it needs to go, because there needs to be a precedent drawn where how far is too far for fans versus companies. Because if they sue a non-profit organization that raises funds for charity, they are the bad guys automatically, no matter if they win their lawsuit or not. So they will never be able to do anything to said group. And again, I'm not saying the group's name because I don't want to cause drama or anything like that. But they are literally automatically the bad guys if they sue a non-profit charity organization, and it would make them look terrible.
DJ Robin agrees with you.
And yeah, DJ Robin says it'd be bad PR for them to sue a fan club.
Very much so. And let me ask you guys, am I turning into a hippie? Because, no, seriously.
I went to New College. Don't ask me.
Yeah,
All right, hit me with it, man.
You're already, I'm preaching to the converted as far as you're concerned, Reki.
I'm a radical social anarchist, so just keep me out of it.
Give me just a second, Furball. Tomas just said that bad PR would have big trouble making it to the mainstream media. Tomas, let me tell you one thing. This club has like 8,000 members worldwide. So if this club were to get shut down, they would get crapped on from all over the world. This group has raised millions and millions and millions of dollars for charity. No joke. Yes.
I think that's true, and that on certain spheres, like in the internet world, it definitely would get the word out. But like Thomas says, I don't think like the news that old people watch on their televisions with cable or whatever would ever hear any of it.
Well, you only need a slow news day.
But what you don't, I mean, if you go to any news channel within the next 2 weeks, well, I'm not saying you will, I'm just saying in general, you as a general person, you will see one of the members of this costuming club on that news channel. Why? Disney doesn't have paid actors to send all this stuff. They ask this club to do it. Again, free PR. They make a lot of money off of these folks. If they cut it off at the knees, they're losing a huge revenue stream. They're losing tons of free PR through all this stuff that they get to do. And then they're pretty much handicapping any kind of goodwill that the fans have. Because I mean, if you look at Celebration, Star Wars Celebration.
His point.
But Star Wars Celebration was a huge event. Thousands, like 50,000 fans or something stupid like that showed up to this thing. And that event was made as great as it was because of this club. So one of the things that I gotta say is, if they get rid of that club, they are taking off a lot of fans. AKA all of their fans. So that's where it doesn't really matter about the media, because people who don't care about Star Wars aren't going to care. But people who are fans already know who this group is, and they would draw the line at having a charity shut down like that. I really do think they would.
Welcome to Insert Con Theatre. We occasionally talk about video games.
I'm sorry. I got really carried away. I got really excited.
I don't know where that was going.
Well,
what's that, Reki?
Reki was just saying about how I was talking about becoming a hippie, and I'm steadily thinking these corporations are becoming more and more evil. Now, not inherently so. They're protecting their IP and things like that, but the way they're going about it is horrible. You see what I mean? I'm becoming more and more anti-corporation. I mean, hell, going back to the points that both, I think, myself and Thomas made earlier, I think people like Ubisoft are acting like a corporation, and EA, as you suggested, Tim. They're acting like corporations. They've ceased to become a developer, and now they're a corporation. And that switch that these companies make, then it changes them. You know, they have all these licenses. Look at, in fact, Konami is a perfect example. They have all these wonderful IPs They've over the years, there's been some absolutely amazing content produced, but now it's not worth anything. Certainly not to the gaming industry, because they're just going to sit on it, and no matter what they do, even if they could turn into, I don't know, an automated coffee machine company, and and put Silent Hill and Street Fighter logos all over them, and that's the thing. That's still their IP. That like no matter what they decide to do with their lives now, or with their corporate lives, that's just where it is. It's their property. It's their thing, and there's nothing that. Well, unless they suddenly go under, no one's going to get that IP back. It's gone forever.
Yeah, that is true. Until what is the limit on IP law? It's like 90 years.
Well, that all depends on your conspiracy theories.
Indefinite.
Yeah,
indefinitely.
If the TPP goes through, the Trade Pacific Partnership, that would be indefinite. It got extended due to a landmark court case, I believe, to be. I think it's something like 30 years plus 80, because the original thing is 30 years or something around that benchmark, and it's been plus various benchmarks. So it's been, this is the year, this is the IP life before it becomes public domain, and then it's again, for example, plus the life of the composer, the artist, the so on and so forth. So yeah, not going to get around those things,
well,
really.
Yeah, unfortunately,
I'm not
I guess
allowed
it
to
is
get
more or
involved
less
in
forever.
political conversation, so we better start the game now.
Yeah, well, we do have a game lined up, so we should probably take a look at that to round out the evening. Now that we've hit on all the fun hot button topics and gotten good old Furball's blood pumping.
Wait. We haven't talked about
awake,
half the things that gets my blood pumping.
Well, we're gonna have to save it for another episode when you
Okay.
join us. All right, you'll have to come on the show again. All right.
Okay.
Sound good? Maybe with George, because I'd like to hear you guys go at it.
Be around about Nintendo's horrible just for 20
George.
minutes.
Yeah. The reason my console joke is so funny, George, is because it's true.
Don't antagonize us.
Hey, he's not here, so you can say things
No,
about
that's
him.
the
That's the
opposite.
rules. That's what we do at work. If you're not there, you get
All right,
blamed for
game
everything.
Tim.
All right, so we are gonna play a game that we have. This game is called. Well, let me play the song for you guys. Is it a fact or is it a fake? It's fact or fiction. It's called Fact or Fiction. That's my awesome intro. I hope you guys like it. You like that one, Furball?
That one's particularly nice.
You couldn't get that out.
Wow, that came across like my mom when she's like just wants to get rid of me. She's like, that's
a wonderful
nice.
art here. Let's put it over here in the
Well
magic
done, you.
can.
Go you.
Gold
I'm not related to
star.
you. I'm not related to you at all. Gold star, yes. So how this game works, and those of you at home in chat, if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to it on iTunes, you guys can play along by placing your guesses. We'll give like 15-20 seconds to decide, and we will go from there. So all right, so I'll give you a piece of information, and you have to tell me if it's a fact or a fiction, if it's true or if it's false. And DJ Robin says I should make a video clip for that intro. I am gonna work on it. I just don't have that kind of time. All right, so Furball, we would love it if you would join us for this game, and Reki, you as well.
I will
Furball,
try.
you're going down.
And I will.
The
gauntlet has been
No,
thrown.
that's fine, Ricky. I probably will. Because my memory for recalling facts is horrific.
No. Try
It's
again.
gonna be
Furball.
guesswork.
This time with more enthusiasm.
Okay. Yes, you're probably right, Rick.
No.
My memory for recalling
no.
facts is.
Never mind. I can't say that.
All right. Are you guys ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Yes.
All right. The first tidbit of information. In the game Hatsune Miku Project Diva F on the PS3 and Vita, the song The MMORPG Addict's Anthem takes place in an MMORPG that looks strikingly similar to Final Fantasy XIV. Fact or fiction? What was that, Reki?
Fact.
So you say fact. Furball, what do you say?
I didn't hear the question because Nathan's just come in, so I'm going to say fact. 50-50.
I will repeat it so that I'll repeat.
No, I'm
repeat
sticking
it.
with fact.
I'm going to repeat it for the audience. In the game Hatsune Miku Project Diva F on the PS3 and Vita, the song The MMORPG Addict's Anthem takes place in an MMORPG that looks strikingly similar to Final Fantasy XIV. And tell Nathan to shut it.
Tim says shut it, Nathan.
I like that. He's like, what? All right. The answer. That is a fiction. That's fiction. That's fiction, so neither of you guys got that. It takes place in a game similar to Phantasy Star Online 2, which is another Sega title. All right.
I actually like that.
How about
game.
this one?
Fancy Star Online.
Yeah, it was pretty good actually. I enjoyed it as well. It was out on the Dreamcast as well. It was one of the online games on the Dreamcast, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had it on the PlayStation 2, as I recall. And let me tell you, getting that thing online was no joke.
Yeah. I never even attempted it.
Yeah, it was.
I had to learn complete new
that
skills.
had a modem, right?
Complete new skills in order to try and get that damn thing online.
Was that Ethernet or was that a modem? Was that the old dial-up?
That was modem
remember.
dial-up, but I was playing it in the games where we had things like in the days where we had Wi-Fi, and I had to use a complete new skill set. Seriously,
God,
in order to try and get that
brutal.
thing to work. So yeah. Anyway,
Wow, that's a mess. All right, next one. In Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, on the TV in Clank's apartment, there is a picture of Conker from Conker's Bad Fur Day, a nod to the game that had released a few years before.
Yes.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm with Reki on this one. There's a lot of developers that like to put these little nods and winks to the past work,
Like
in
the
their
notched
games.
pickaxe
Okay.
in Skyrim.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'll repeat it. In Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, on the TV in Clank's apartment, there is a picture of Conker from Conker's Bad Fur Day, a nod to the game that had released a few years before.
DG Robin is on the
Robin
other side
says
of the fence
fiction.
from us.
Oh, he's on the other side of the fence. Anybody else? Give him a couple of seconds.
Well,
All right. We'll go ahead and do the answer. The answer is fiction. You were both
Oh,
wrong. Robin's right.
That's right.
His TV actually has Jack from Jack and Daxter, which is a Naughty Dog game.
Oh well.
I hate these ones that are slightly right.
Well, that's half the fun of it.
It's plausible because it happened, just not with that specific named thing.
How else would I get away with doing it? This would be impossible otherwise. If I had to make them up, I'd be like, there are brown cows in the sky. It just wouldn't work.
Yeah, but then I would be
suck.
winning. So
If it's a PC game, I can guarantee there's probably a mod for that.
right.
Probably.
Wasn't, there is now.
All right.
Yeah.
Next one. In Halo 3, a 2D image of Bungie co-founder Jason Jones can be seen in nothing but a pair of gym shorts.
No.
Yeah, I'm so going with fiction on that.
Okay. All right. All right, I'll read it again. In Halo 3, a 2D image of Bungie co-founder Jason Jones can be seen in nothing but a pair of gym shorts.
Where can this thing be seen?
Probably underneath
What's that?
the world when you fall through, like the cheese monster in Inquisition.
Oh yeah, and the rule is no Googling. I know you guys aren't, but to the audience, don't Google it. No Googling. No you Googles. All right. And that one is a fact, actually. The same image appeared during a
You're doing
cutscene in
terrible.
Halo 2.
Yep.
You guys are 3 for 3. All right. At the end of the arcade version of Altered Beast, the monsters and characters are shown as if coming out of costume, implying the whole game is an elaborate play.
What's the game called?
Altered Beast. It
Altered
was a
Beast.
side-scrolling beat-em-up where you turned into a werewolf and was given amazing kicking
Rise
powers.
from your grave. Altered Beast was awesome. I had that on my 360. I played through that. Or no, on my PS3. Played through that on my PS3. It was fun.
Sure,
Yeah.
I'll go with that one.
I'm going to go with
What are you
yeah.
gonna say, Furball?
Again, I'm with Reki. It
Seems
was
like a thing that would be
Altered
done.
Beast. That game was, having people turn into werewolves. Was it was kind of a strong thing in that day. Especially for the kind of twee audience that it was aimed at. So I'm going to go with something like that was in the ending. Yeah, I think that's true.
All right. And Reki,
Same.
what did you say? You said it was true? Okay. Robin says it's fiction. I don't see any more people posting up in chat, so that's a fact. Rumors have it that it was because there's a push at the time to pass the violence off as staged to avoid corrupting the youth
Yeah, there you go.
or upsetting
Avoid
the
that
children.
ESRB rating.
Yep.
Yeah. Won't someone please think of the kids?
Think of the children. All right. The game Rayman originally had an Atari Jaguar release. The game Rayman originally had an Atari Jaguar release.
I think
that
fact
or
Rayman's been
fiction?
released on almost every platform because it's an entertaining 2D side-scrolling platformer. So yeah, why not? True.
Okay, you're going to say
good old
fact.
fact.
Reki, what are you
Yeah,
going to say?
sure. And if the timeline is off, maybe it was in development hell and then got pushed to some other console.
Yep.
It's still not going to save it. if that's what it was, you're not.
But
it's not
that's
gonna
the
save
question I'm answering, Tim.
It.
Yeah.
It's fact or fiction, not answer the question. Jeez, it's not Jeopardy, guys. Dang. All right, you are both correct.
Woohoo.
That is a fact. The game came out on the PC, PlayStation, Sega Saturn, and Atari Jaguar. It came out on two long-lived and great consoles. The Saturn and the Jaguar.
The what?
They lasted like a year each, if that. The Jaguar lasted like
I
6
don't even
months,
know what
didn't
they
it?
look like.
Looks like a
That's
Jaguar.
Jaguar was a
No.
black lump of plastic, which, to be fair, was a reasonable piece of kit. It had
It was pretty beefy. It was just ahead of its
had
time.
a decent spec. It had no developers. There was no,
Yeah, that was one of the big
the
problems.
biggest problem was no.
Yeah, I
damn
heard it
game.
was extremely hard to develop for as well. Their dev kit sucked. Okay. Due to developer oversight, in Assassin's Creed 2, it is possible for Ezio to slit enemies' throats using only his thumb.
No.
Using only his thumb.
This is a Ubisoft game, so I'm going to say that there probably isn't. There's a way to do everything in Ubisoft games because they're broken. So yes, I'm gonna go on the opposite now. I'm gonna go with true
Okay, so Reki says it's fiction. You say it's fact.
or fact.
And it looks like Robin is in the fiction camp. It is actually fiction. The oversight was a broom. You could slit their throat with a broom.
I remember that.
Actually,
I played a lot.
Reki experienced that one firsthand. All right, next. In Time Splitters, Future Perfect, the identity stolen by Cortez in the Eugenius Eugenics mission is Dr. Gordon. This is a reference to Half-Life's Dr. Gordon Freeman. In Time Splitters Future Perfect, the identity stolen by Cortez in the Eugenius Eugenics mission is Dr. Gordon. This is a reference to Half-Life's Dr. Gordon Freeman.
Sure. Half-Life references are everywhere.
Yeah, why not? The cake is a lie, isn't it?
Nowadays, it's Portal references. I'm gonna have to say you guys are right. Yeah, it's fact. Of course, that one's true. That was easy. That was an easy one.
An
I gotta give
easy
you guys
one?
easy
I've
ones
not
every now
known
and
a
again,
single one of these.
right?
You make a very convincing guesser then.
A direct sequel to the 1998 game South Park was announced, but was ultimately canceled due to public outcry at the profanity displayed in the game.
I believe that.
A direct sequel to the 1998 game South Park was announced, but was ultimately canceled due to public outcry at the profanity displayed in the game.
I do know that there was that self-same group. Won't somebody think of the children? See South Park as a cartoon and immediately think children would get a hold of it, but it's actually mature content. So
Yeah.
it would not surprise me if there was some kind of, even if it was unfounded, some kind of public outcry. So I'm going to go with fact on that one.
Okay. Reki,
Yeah.
what did you say? You said fact? Okay. Looks like Robin said fiction. Robin's correct on that one. Actually, the sequel never came out. It just never, it wasn't canceled. It just never, nothing ever came of it.
Vaporware.
Yeah, yep. They announced it in 2000, and nothing came of it from there. All right, next. This one's aimed at you, Furball. According to Nintendo, games are region locked on their consoles to lock in sales and prevent bleed over of Japan-only titles to other regions. According to Nintendo, games are region locked on their consoles to lock in sales and prevent bleed over of Japan-only titles to other regions.
Yes.
Actually, that sounds perfectly reasonable. And also, there would probably be an addition to that, and that's so you can manipulate each market individually, and
Even
you
though
can
it's
give people
very
priority
horrible
releases.
practice.
Disgusting, villainous, positively theft-worthy practice.
Furball knows my
Okay. All right. So the correct answer to that is fiction.
Okay.
All right. Though you are probably correct, it is probably that reason. They say it's because it's in order to comply with different cultures and regulations in each region.
Yeah, that's
Load of
bollocks.
bollocks.
Yeah, all right.
Load of crap. But that was straight from the horse's mouth. That was from the late Mr. Iwata himself.
You'd think we should have some kind of website as to, what they say and what they mean.
There's a site called PolitiFact that tracks everything that a politician says and then says whether it's true or not. We need something like that for video games, for video game developers and PR people
Mostly
and
PR people.
crap like that. But yeah, mostly PR folks.
I steadily feel that I'm either becoming a grumpy old man, or my cynical rating is just going through the roof, because seriously, every announcement that a developer makes, it's coined with, and we're going to have this. Yeah, until the DLC comes out. Yeah,
Or right. Sure
we're going to have this thing, and you're going to be able to do this. Oh, right. So that will be part of the walled microtransaction.
Yeah, I'll hold my breath there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next one. I like this one. This is one of my favorites. One of the discs that came with Gran Turismo 2 on the PlayStation had a special scratch and sniff feature that made it smell like a pit lane.
That's false.
One of the discs that came with Gran Turismo 2 on the PlayStation had a special scratch and sniff feature that made it smell like a pit lane.
PlayStation era was an era of completely dumb and incomprehensible things, so I'm going to go with fact.
All right.
I believe that some
One of the
exec somewhere
discs
thought that was a good
that
idea.
came with Gran Turismo 2 on the PlayStation had a special scratch and sniff feature that made it smell like a pit lane. That is actually a fact.
Oh my god.
Believe it or not. The game FIFA 2001 also offered a scratch and sniff variant that smelled like a football pitch. It was the only two games, actually, I think, ever to come out that had scratch and sniff.
I'm done with game developers, seriously.
That was the PlayStation era, though. All the developers were crazy. They all had ridiculous ideas that never went anywhere.
Robin's like, boo. The game Zelda's Adventure on the CDI takes place in the land of Tolamac rather than Hyrule.
Yes.
The game Zelda's Adventure on the CDI takes place in the land of Tolamac rather than Hyrule.
Heads. True.
Tomas, I try my best to speak in a way that Furball can understand. If it's American football, I call it American football. Otherwise,
Why
it's
don't
just
we,
football.
Yeah.
we fix the router?
Because he
there?
gets it. You don't want to know the argument that we get into if he starts using those Americanisms. Seriously.
I got tired of fighting all the time, so I just
That's
gave in.
because it's wrong.
Yes.
There's no like middle ground here.
Oh man, that's awesome. All right, so that is actually. What did you say, Reki? You said true. Furball, what'd you say?
The coin landed on heads, so it's true.
Okay. That is a fact.
I
The
knew
Zelda
that one.
CDI games, which were the biggest turd piles you will ever see in your life, and were also probably the freaking laziest things ever, were placed in Tolamac, which is Camelot backwards. Oh, so
knew that one.
original.
Edgy.
Then again, Nintendo can bite me, all right? So I'm going to take a second and go off on a little bit of a rant here. So in one of the most recent games, oh my god, what was that recent Zelda game? It was like a Link Between Worlds. That's the game, A Link Between Worlds. So you go from the land of Hyrule to a different world. Guess what that world's called? Freaking
Albion.
guess.
Fully?
It's called Low Rule.
Oh,
That's so lame.
Bite me, Nintendo. Bite me.
Terrible.
that's like officially we've run out of ideas now.
That's
Well, that's like naming the female variant of Linkle.
Oh,
It's like,
wait.
really, guys?
Wait.
Come on. Come up with something unique and original. Don't just slap Ellie on the end and be like, that sounds wonderful.
Angry
Linkle.
female. Yeah.
I'm gonna throw up now. All right. Anyways, off the Nintendo bash train.
Why? It's so much fun.
we have to get it out of our system while George isn't here to whine about it.
All right, next one. On the back of the disc of the PlayStation 2 version of The Bard's Tale, the text, "For a really disturbing image, flip the disc over." When held under a black light, the underside of the disc shows a drawing of one of the game's scarier monsters printed on it.
I'm going to go with false on that one, but I do know of a story. I think it was Psychonauts. For a disturbing image, please, on the label side it said, for a disturbing image, flip the disc over, and there was nothing but a reflection of yourself. In the
Okay,
disc.
Reki, what do you
Well
say?
played, Psychonauts developers.
All
Well
right,
played.
we'll go for it.
Okay,
I'm skeptical, but I'm going to say fact for the sake of the game.
okay. So, turns out that Furball is correct for the most part, but it wasn't Psychonauts, it was The Bard's Tale, and it was you flipped it over and you just saw your face. So you knew it, so you were dead on, so you got that one. See, you know some
I knew
thing
a
in
thing.
this game.
Thanks, Tim.
That's better than nothing. Reki's just guessing in the dark, all right?
I don't
You know all these?
I have an inkling about some
Yeah,
of them.
you-
That's not guessing. That's guessing in the low light, all right?
There is a chance in The Witcher 3 that a human enemy will say, "Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries."
I still want that to be true.
I want it to be
Okay.
true, but I don't think so.
Okay. Poor DJ Robin. Every time he's like, "Fact, damn it, fact, damn it." It's so good.
Well, DJ Robin,
him a
you are
second to
way
respond.
in the lead.
Yeah, no, I've got like 4, maybe?
He's actually almost beating you guys
I think I've only got.
combined.
I think I've only got one, maybe
Alright.
two.
You both have 4,
Really? Oh,
actually.
okay.
You guys are tied right now, yeah.
Me and Devious are on a team. We're team.
No. I'm
can't
going to
change the
drag the
rules.
side down, so like, I'll stick with my -5.
So, that one is a
Boo.
fact. They do make the Monty... There's a chance that the humans will make the Monty Python and the Holy
Then
Grail.
why do they keep making the same 3 noises every time I walk past them? It's very annoying.
That puts Furball in the lead by 1, believe it or not. All right, next. Warhawks.
I was about
what's
to
that?
say, well, I guess
Go
they
ahead,
kind of
Furball.
have to because they have every regional British accent in there. You know, you'll go past a West Country accent, a Welsh, a Scottish, and seriously, if there isn't some kind of like crazy, just like very rare chance of hell, anything being said, that makes sense to me.
Oh, Tomas has 9 out of
Holy
13.
cow.
What?
Oh,
All right. Warhawks multiplayer servers were actually a cluster of PS3 consoles. Warhawks multiplayer servers were actually a cluster of PS3 consoles.
no. Although, it sounds plausible.
Okay. You say fiction, Reki?
That sounds too
What do
much
you say,
like
Furball?
the Genome Project, where they strung like a whole room of like 40 PS3s together to make like some kind of supercomputer. It just sounds too similar.
Well, I know you can make a supercomputer out of networking Xbox Ones, but I think having them operate as a dedicated server on multiple consoles, I think I'm going to go with false on that because that's just going off what my IT experience tells me.
It would be easier just to buy a new
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, the answer to that one is that is a fact, actually.
Holy cow.
PS3 servers, because of the cell processor and the cell architecture, were able to do a ton of computational stuff really easily just because of the architecture. It was like 6, actually I think it was 8 processors, 2 of them locked, but you could unlock them. But it was like eight cores of processing power before they even really had anything beyond dual core. Like dual core was still pretty young at the time, so it was a kind of a big deal. And the military actually used a ton of strung together PS3s at one point for doing some things as well. And Reki was right; they used it for a folding at home for protein
unpacking
folding.
the protein
Yeah.
codes.
Yep.
I remember that
So
because I
that one
downloaded
is
the
a
thing
fact.
that would let it run on your computer.
Yep, and they did that for the PS3, especially if you modded your PS3
Interesting.
at the time. All right, Wii Sports is the most sold video game ever, right ahead of Minecraft. Wii Sports is the most sold video game ever, right ahead of Minecraft. Is that a fact? Or is it a fake? It's fact or fiction.
Total shenanigans on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, that is false. I'm going to know.
I feel like it could be true, but I'm gonna say false because I think of a couple other games that probably have sold more.
And the fact is, it's sold. Well, Wii Sports came bundled with the console, so I wouldn't.
They count
They
that.
count that.
They count
Damn
that.
it!
They count that. Yeah, which is why it's kind of BS.
Yes, it is.
So I will let you know now. They do count that. That's only fair of me. So you can revise your answer if you wish, but.
I don't want that to be true, so I'm sticking with my answer.
Yeah.
And we're talking sales across all platforms as well.
That's fine. F Nintendo, F
And
Konami.
that was the question that Robin asked. Across all platforms.
Yeah, still going with my original answer of that not being true. Mostly because I don't want it to be true.
Is it a load of tosh?
DJ Robin, one answer per question.
You can't pick both, man. He's like, fiction, fact. Change to fact, okay? And Reki, you said
Because
fiction?
I think I know of another game that sold more, but I'm not entirely sure. But it sounds plausible.
Tell me the
Wow.
game, Reki. Okay? Do you have an idea, Furball, of what it might be? Should it be true or false?
I so want it to be false. I don't want to live in a world where that is true.
Well, do you know of a game that you think would have sold better?
I know of 1,000 games
Or
that
like
should have sold better.
Pac-Man or an early Mario.
Should have, but
something.
not did. All right. The answer is it is fiction. However, it's the second best selling.
After.
The first bestseller is Tetris, selling 100 million copies across all platforms. Wii Sports at 82.7 million copies, and Minecraft at 71 million copies. That is obscene.
Yeah, and if I gave a game away for free with my console, then it'd be nice.
Right? That doesn't.
Yeah, I know. Seriously,
They shouldn't count that.
seriously.
That's silly.
I agree. I think it's
What's
BS to
the-
include it in a
what's the
bundle,
sale
especially.
on
Anyways.
WoW, because
WoW only ever peaked at I think 16 million.
The billions.
So
for
I mean, they may
WoW.
only have they only have probably 40 or 50 million. No, wait, that might not be right. They're pretty
All
high
right,
up there.
you
though.
answer. I'll Google.
Okay, it was on Wikipedia. Okay, so the last one. It's the last one for this game. So you guys ready? You ready for this? An unused promotional poster for Super Mario Strikers was created but ultimately rejected due to its similarity to a depiction of a scrotum. An unused promotional poster for Super Mario Strikers was created but ultimately rejected due to its similarity to a depiction of a scrotum.
Did it have a tanuki on the front?
Oh.
Because that doesn't count.
I wanted to say scrotum on the podcast.
Twice.
It's a lovely word, isn't it?
It is fabulous. It's a great word, scrotum.
My favourite word of all time. Or so far.
Scrotum?
No, it's hippopotomonsterosesquipedaliophobia.
It's the fear of abnormally large
Fear
words,
of
isn't it?
large long words, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. It's good.
Um,
All right. What do you think?
coin flip says...
Reki?
Yes.
You say fact? Okay. Furball's flipping that coin.
Coin flip says fiction. Because this is going to be one of those where, yes, it was, but not because it was a scrotum.
All right. Well, turns out that it was a fact. In the advert, 2 soccer balls were dangling in a net bag with the quote, "You're gonna need a pair." 2 footballs. Sorry, footballs. It was Super Mario Strikers was a footy game. Footy. Footy. Am I saying that right? Footy? Sounds weird.
Football game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like football, like not American football.
Yeah. You're talking to me. That's the
footy?
only football.
What about
The only football.
Footy.
American sport? That's terrible.
Footy, right? You say footy, right? Playing footy. Playing
footy,
Isn't
yeah.
that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay. God, I was freaking out for a minute.
It is
there.
a thing.
God,
Don't
had me
worry.
going.
It's a thing, Tim.
All right, man. I'm new to this whole English
I know.
thing.
It's with the old...
Hey, not bad, Robin.
What's that road called,
All right.
Reki? Oh, it's 66. What's it called?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the thing.
All right,
You
all
plug
right.
your internet.
All right, we got to do the scores. Drum roll, please.
Yay!
The final scores. Reki with
Woo!
6 points.
Congratulations.
10%.
Furball with
Woo!
6
Nice.
points. And the winner, DJ Robin with 8 out of 16
Yay.
points. Oh wow! So that was lovely
If any
fun.
of the
Thank you
rest
guys
of
very
you
much
keep
for
score,
for
post your
indulging
scores
me. Yes, but thank you very much for indulging me, Furball, Reki. So that was Fact or Fiction. And that unfortunately draws us to a close on our lovely show for today.
Oh,
So, indeed. Don't sound too disappointed, Furball.
I've always said the show's too short.
So,
Just saying.
well, if we made it too much longer, you guys would get sick of us. So,
Yeah.
so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. A huge thanks to Mr. Devioussfurball for joining us. You have a website, is that correct,
Yes,
sir?
it's www.goldenvo.co.
Ah, there you go. Check it out, goldenvo.co. And thank you for joining us, Reki. It was a pleasure to meet you for the first time ever.
I'm confused. Just because you can't see my face doesn't mean I disappeared.
Oh, does it?
All right, guys. So thank you to everyone who joined us in chat. Tomas, Robin,
Very nice.
Amusing Souls. You guys contributed greatly to our discussions, and it is much appreciated. You guys are awesome. We could not do this show without you. For those watching who did not participate in chat but are still watching, please feel free to hit that follow button. It'll let you know the next time we go live. I do streaming throughout the week, and we try to do the podcast once a week at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we run until about 8 o'clock. A little late this time because we started a little late. And you can find us insertcointheater.com. You can find our Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all the good stuff. And yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us, and it was really a pleasure. So thank you guys very much for joining us, and we will see you all. Whew. Well, I will see you guys in a few days, but we'll see you all next week at the very least. Have a lovely day, and again, thank you, Furball, for joining
You're
us.
welcome. Take care, guys. Thanks, Chet.
Have a great night. Oh, and thank you very much, Tomas, for the follow. You are
Oh,
amazing. Thank
pro
you so
tip on the
much.
follows. When Tim gets 4 more follows, he's doing a 24-hour live stream, which
Yep.
between you and me,
Will be
he's
hilarious.
dreading. Yeah.
It'll be amazing. If you have any ideas for games
4 more
or
friends.
mini games you want to see those two fools play, send a message to me and I'll see what I can do about it.
It's going to be 24 hours of
It
madness.
will be
Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
We're going to come up with a couple of challenges and stuff like that, I think, that we're going to do. But should be a good time. So the more follows, the better. So spread the word, guys. And much appreciated. No, evil laughter is not good. Have a lovely evening. We'll see you guys next week.